Bullies hanged the quiet girl until she fainted. Big mistake. She was a brutal fighter. An inspiring story by Heartfelt Tales. The rope bit deep into Maya's wrists as consciousness slowly returned. Her vision blurred, throat burning, lungs desperately pulling in precious air. Above her, the three bullies who had just released their grip stepped back, their cruel laughter echoing through the abandoned gymnasium. They had no idea they had just awakened something they weren't prepared to face. If this story moves you, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales for more inspiring stories. Maya Chen had always been the invisible girl at Riverside High. While other students filled hallways with chatter and laughter, she moved like a shadow, books clutched to her chest, eyes downcast. Her silence wasn't born from shyness alone, it was armor, carefully constructed after years of moving from foster home to foster home, learning that speaking up often brought more pain than staying quiet. For 3 years, she had perfected the art of being unnoticed. She ate lunch alone in the library, completed group projects by herself, and never raised her hand in class, even when she knew all the answers. Her teachers saw a struggling student, her classmates saw easy prey. Derek Morrison and his crew had been targeting Maya since sophomore year. What started as casual name-calling had escalated over months into something much darker. They would knock books from her hands, spread cruel rumors, and corner her in empty hallways. Maya endured it all in silence, believing that fighting back would only make things worse. The breaking point came on a cold Tuesday afternoon. Maya had stayed late in the library, as usual, waiting for the buses to clear before walking home. She preferred the quiet streets to the chaos of dismissal time. But as she passed the old gymnasium, a building scheduled for demolition that students were forbidden to enter, she heard her name called out mockingly. Derek emerged from the shadows with his 2 companions, Jake and Marcus. Their faces wore expressions Maya had learned to fear, the look of predators who had cornered their prey with no escape route. "Look what we found," Derek sneered, blocking her path. Little Maya, all alone as always. Maya clutched her backpack tighter and tried to step around them, but Jake moved to cut off her escape. Her heart hammered against her ribs as the 3 boys formed a circle around her. "We've been thinking," Marcus said, cracking his knuckles. "You never seem to react to anything we do. We're starting to wonder if you can even feel anything at all." "Maybe we need to try harder," Derek added, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Before Maya could process what was happening, rough hands grabbed her arms. She found herself dragged into the abandoned gymnasium, her feet barely touching the ground. The musty smell of decay and neglect filled her nostrils as they hauled her toward the old climbing equipment still mounted on the walls. "Let's see if this gets a reaction," Derek said, producing a length of rope from his backpack. Terror flooded Maya's system as they bound her wrists and threw the rope over an old ceiling beam. They pulled until her toes barely touched the ground, her full weight supported by her wrists. The pain was immediate and excruciating. "Please," she whispered, the first word she had spoken to any of them in months. "Oh, she does talk." Jake laughed. "What else can we get you to do?" They took turns pulling the rope tighter, watching her struggle. Maya's vision began to blur as panic and pain overwhelmed her system. She could hear their voices becoming distant, feel her consciousness starting to slip away. The last thing she remembered before the darkness claimed her was Derek's voice, "That's enough. Let her down before she actually dies on us." When Maya's eyes fluttered open, she was lying on the dirty gymnasium floor, her wrists raw and bleeding. The 3 boys stood above her, no longer laughing. Something in her expression as she slowly sat up made them take an unconscious step backward. "You made a mistake," Maya said quietly, her voice steady despite the ordeal she had just endured. Derek tried to regain his bravado. "What are you going to do about it? Tell a teacher? Who's going to believe the weird quiet girl?" Maya stood slowly, testing her balance. Her movements were different now, fluid, controlled, purposeful. "I'm not going to tell anyone," she said. "I'm going to show you exactly who you just messed with." The truth was, Maya's silence hadn't just been about avoiding conflict. For the past 6 years, every day after school, she had walked not to some quiet corner to hide, but to Master Lu's martial arts studio downtown. It was the one constant in her life that had survived every foster home change, every school transfer, every upheaval. Maya had started training at age 10, after a particularly violent foster situation left her feeling completely powerless. Master Lu had taken one look at the scared, angry child and recognized something special. He taught her not just to fight, but to find strength in stillness, power in patience. A true warrior chooses when to reveal their strength, Master Lu had always told her. Sometimes the greatest power lies in letting others underestimate you. Maya had never wanted to hurt anyone. She had hoped that by staying invisible, by absorbing their cruelty in silence, she could avoid having to use what she had learned. But as she faced the 3 boys who had just tortured her for their entertainment, she realized that sometimes silence enabled more violence than action ever could. "You're insane if you think you can take all 3 of us," Marcus scoffed, stepping forward aggressively. Maya's response was swift and precise. Years of training had taught her to read body language, to anticipate movement before it happened. Marcus's clumsy charge was redirected with a simple hip throw that sent him crashing into a stack of old gymnastics mats. Jake came next, swinging wildly with his fists. Maya ducked under his punches with fluid grace, her counterattack a perfectly placed strike to his solar plexus that dropped him to his knees, gasping for air. Derek, seeing his friends neutralized so easily, backed toward the door. "This isn't over," he snarled. "Yes, it is," Maya replied, her voice carrying an authority that seemed to fill the entire space. "But not the way you think." Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened at Riverside High. Maya didn't become a vigilante seeking revenge on every bully in school. Instead, she became something more powerful, a protector. Word spread quickly about what had happened in the gymnasium. Students whispered about the quiet girl who had single-handedly taken down 3 of the school's most notorious bullies. But Maya used her newfound reputation not to inspire fear, but to inspire courage in others. She began sitting with lonely students at lunch, not saying much, but her presence alone sending a clear message that they weren't alone. When she saw bullying happening in hallways, she would simply appear, her calm presence enough to defuse most situations before they escalated. Maya started a self-defense club after school, teaching other students basic techniques not for aggression, but for confidence. "The goal isn't to hurt anyone," she would tell new members. "It's to know that you can protect yourself and others if necessary." Master Lu was proud but not surprised when Maya told him about recent events. "You have learned the most important lesson," he said. "Strength without compassion is just violence. But compassion without the ability to act is just helplessness. You have found the balance." Derek and his friends, meanwhile, faced consequences beyond just their physical defeat. Video footage from a security camera they hadn't noticed captured their assault on Maya, leading to their suspension and mandatory counseling. But more importantly, their social power evaporated overnight. Students who had once feared them now saw them as cowards who ganged up on someone they thought was defenseless. Maya's transformation wasn't just about revealing her fighting skills, it was about finding her voice. She began participating in class discussions, joining study groups, and even running for student council on a platform of anti-bullying initiatives. "I spent years thinking that staying quiet would keep me safe," Maya addressed the school assembly when her anti-bullying program was approved. But silence in the face of cruelty isn't safety, it's surrender. We all have more strength than we realize, and we all have a responsibility to use that strength to protect each other. The program Maya established created safe spaces for students to report bullying, peer mediation systems, and support groups for both victims and reformed bullies. She understood that hurt people often hurt people, and true change required addressing the root causes of aggressive behavior. Derek eventually approached Maya privately, months after the incident. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked like genuine remorse. "I know this doesn't change anything," he said, struggling with the words. "But I need you to know that what we did was wrong. I've been in therapy, trying to figure out why I thought hurting you would make me feel better about my own problems." Maya studied his face carefully, her training having taught her to read sincerity as well as aggression. "Acknowledging it is the first step," she said. "What matters now is what you do next." Derek nodded and walked away, but over the following months, Maya noticed him intervening when he saw other students being picked on. It wasn't dramatic or showy, just quiet redirections and inclusive gestures that prevented situations from escalating. By graduation, Riverside High had become a different place. The culture of casual cruelty that had once pervaded the hallways had been replaced by something more protective and inclusive. Students looked out for each other, knowing that someone was always watching, ready to step in when needed. Maya's valedictorian speech focused not on academic achievements, but on the power of choosing when and how to use our strength. "We all face moments when we must decide whether to stay silent or speak up, whether to stand aside or step forward," she told her classmates. The quiet girl who once walked these halls invisible learned that true strength isn't about being the loudest or the most aggressive, it's about being brave enough to act when action is needed, and wise enough to know when that moment has come. As Maya walked across the stage to receive her diploma, the entire auditorium rose in spontaneous applause. Master Lu, sitting in the audience, nodded with deep satisfaction. His student had learned not just to fight, but to transform fighting into something greater, the courage to create change. Maya went on to study social work and criminal justice, eventually returning to Riverside as a counselor and continuing to run her self-defense programs. The scared, silent girl who had once hidden in libraries had become a voice for the voiceless, a protector of the vulnerable, and a bridge between strength and compassion. The story of Maya Chen reminds us that we all carry hidden strengths, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Sometimes we must endure darkness before we can bring light to others. And sometimes the greatest victory isn't defeating our enemies, but transforming them into allies in the fight for a better world. Her legacy lived on in every student who found the courage to speak up, every bully who chose to be a protector instead, and every quiet person who realized that silence doesn't have to mean powerlessness. Thank you for watching this inspiring story of transformation and courage. If Maya's journey touched your heart, please show your support by hitting that like button and sharing this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Your comments mean the world to me. I love hearing how these stories impact your lives, so please take a moment to share your thoughts below. For more powerful, heartfelt stories that will inspire and uplift you, make sure to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Together, we can spread these important messages of hope, courage, and the power we all have within us to create positive change. Thank you for being part of this incredible community.